Okay, someone that actually makes a living feeding his family behind a camera, there is no doubt that a slider is one of my all-time most preferred and necessary pieces of equipment. It just gives you a level of professionalism and smoothness that you just can't get with a gimbal or really anything else. And I love gimbals. I use gimbals all the time for my work. But the smoothness, that absolute precision that you can get from a slider is one of those things that are going to come up time and time again. And I really find that this doesn't replace a gimbal, or a gimbal doesn't replace this. This is just one of those tools that if you're going to do professional work, especially if you're doing products or a lot of interviews, having the controlled precision of a slider is just basically, you gotta have it. It's almost as important in your kit as having a camera and lenses, just to give that certain professional polish. Now, the problem with all this is that while I love sliders, they're also a bit of a pain in the fact that they usually take some setup to get going and running. Whereas a gimbal, I can pick up, get 20 shots really fast. It does take a little more time to set up a slider. And that's where this thing today is pretty cool, and I want to take a look at it. This is the Zeapon EVO D60. What makes this thing interesting, this is a very, very sturdy, rock solid slider, but it's super, super simple, easy, minimalist, and you can get it up in just a minute and go out there and get really nice slider shots, and you're not wasting time. Now, the slider actually has two major selling points. One, like I said, extremely simple and easy to set up. And two is that it is made of a really sturdy aluminum chassis that ensures very, very stable shots, even if you're using a longer lens on macro type situations. Now, full disclosure, I was sent a slider by Zeapon to take a look at this. That being said, I've used Zeapon sliders in the past. I really, really love the quality and the precision I get from this. So I was really, really interested to see how this, which is a much, much more affordable slider, how it compared to some of their higher end stuff. One thing you can see right away is that if I hit play here, this has a brushless motor here built into the slider itself. So that means it is quiet and it is very, very smooth. And it's also really, really compact. You can sit here and see this thing was designed from its ground up for portability and product kind of focus things in mind. It's got a 26.4 inch total length, and it has almost a foot and a half. It has 17.3 inches of total travel space. So what this means, this is very, very good if you're doing product, tabletop stuff. It's great for that thing. And this size is also good if you're doing interviews and want a nice second camera shot, just to give you some movement there on an interview. And the best thing is, once it's done, you can pick this thing up and load it into your luggage. And what I love about this, you can see this thing's pretty tall, the weight. When I hit play on there, you can just see just how sturdy this thing is. I mean, it's a really rock solid thing. It comes in at only 3.7 pounds. So this thing is very, very light. Now, the load on this puppy is actually really, really nice. It has a 5 kilogram and 11 pound horizontal mode. And as you can see here, I've got a pretty big head, a big lens, and I've got my 5D Mark II with a cage, and this thing is sliding on there with absolutely zero problem. And because this thing has a motor on it that's so powerful, you can actually shoot this vertically. Now, obviously you're gonna lose range when you go vertical, but you can still get up to 5.5 pounds of vertical lift on this slider, which gives you a lot of creative range when you're out there wanting to shoot with this. Now, that being said, the sturdiness is fine, the portability is fine, the weight is fine, all that stuff is good. But what I want to do is I want to talk about the operation of this, because this EVO D60, the simplicity and the minimalism of it is by far what I consider its biggest strengths. One nice thing about this, it does have a 3/8 screw right here on the top. And as you can see, I can push that down and it actually turn into a 1/4 inch screw as well. So if you want to put your camera straight on here, your hand can, or you can put whatever type of head you want to get to. So I'm gonna go ahead and just center it just so we can take a look at it. And you can see this is it basically broken down. It's a very, very simple, very, very sleek design. 4 buttons, a power button, and a speed dial. And that's pretty much what you're cooking with. And you have mechanical parallax. Now, before we get into things, let's talk about the power of this thing. As you can see, this thing actually does have a situation where you can power this with a Sony NP battery, which is absolutely fantastic because that's what most of the things out there that we have and that we use. Or you can actually power it here through a USB-C device, whichever you prefer. And what's nice about this is I can actually take this battery and I slide it into the side like this. It's got a lock to release it, so it's pretty straightforward. But what I like about this is because it's got a line that keeps everything on this horizontal axis, that means if I have a bigger camera and I come to the end of my slide, I'm not going to be bumping into a battery that pokes up, which is something you do see in a lot of sliders. Now, because this is a powered slider, I just need to sit there. I'm going to cut on the on-off switch. You'll see it. It'll turn blue. You'll see it adjust just a second. It's green, letting me know I'm good to go. And then you can see the 4 buttons here that let you control it. And that's it. 4 total buttons. You have an A point, a B point, a play button, and a continuous loop button. And it's pretty straightforward to do. And you have a nice dampened speed dial, which lets you dial that in, and I'll show you that in just a second. Now, even before I go and start using these buttons, I do want to point out one thing that I think is a nice feature, is if you look, this thing has a lot of really good markers built here onto the body itself. You'll notice it's got very, very clear measurement markers, and look at this, it has a center point to let you know the center point of the slider, which is very, very important when you get into Parallax, which we're gonna look at in a second. It's got a bubble over here to let you know if you are level, if you're on a tripod. Now what I can do is I can just push this. It moves really, really smoothly. I'm gonna push it. Let's say I wanna set this as an A point. I just hold down the A button and boom, now it turns red. You'll know it's there. If I wanna go to a B point, I'll come over here. I'll push it to say a B point. I'm just gonna push this right here. Let's say that's B. I will hit B and boom, it's that simple. I tap it. And now it's good to go. If I hit play, you will now see this thing move between the A and the B points. So it's super, super simple. If I stop that, I can sit there, and if I hit the continuous loop button, now what'll happen is you will see it. It'll just go continuously back and forth. And look, if you go, I can now actually take it, and you can see I can crank up the speed. So this is it at full speed, so it books along pretty well. Or I can go ahead and crank it down. So it really, really creeps along and gets me, I mean, this thing can go extremely slow. So I can go and really dial in that precision exactly the way that I want. The other thing too, it's really quiet. You know, I can sit there, I'm gonna crank this thing up at its full speed. My mic's right here. This is pretty darn quiet. You're never gonna actually have this close to mic anyway, but this gives you an idea of what the overall sound of this thing is. The other good thing about this that I like is if you sit there, you can switch the B point. So if I want to go to A or B, I can just basically, if I say I want to start at B, I can just hit B, and it's going to automatically go back there to B. Or if I want to go back to A, I can just hit A, and I'm good to go. When I'm done with that, I can literally sit there, and if I want to clear a point, I just hold the button, and as you'll see, hold A, hold B, it'll clear off, and I'm good to go. Everything's right back to where I want to go. And it's got a little bit of a damp as it comes in, so you don't have a very abrupt start. If I hit it back and forth, I'll show you. You can see it kind of dampens in. You'll see it come back. And you'll see it's got a nice kind of smooth dampen out. Really gives you that kind of mechanical precision that's hard to get with just handheld sliders. So as you can see, the motors on this thing are really, really cool and well built. But there is one other thing about this that I would say is definitely worth taking a look at. And that is this. If you have a slider, you're not going to just always want to do like a side to side shot. Getting parallax where you focus on something and the camera moves like this is going to be something you're going to want on pretty much anytime you're doing any kind of product stuff. And this thing has a mechanical parallax bar built into it. What I really like about this is this allows you to get parallax without having to come and do a bunch of dials and buttons and taking all this time to do that and resetting it. And it's very, very simple. You basically start off your camera and you'll come right here to this center point. You'll point your camera right at the subject you want. And then if you look here, it's got a little lock right here and a lock right here. And then what you do is you can move your camera over here all the way to the end. And then it'll let you, you can now, I'm gonna move this so you can see this a little bit more. But as you can see, if I put this out, you'll see I can sit there and move this bar forward and backwards. And just to demonstrate how easy it is to work with the camera, as you can see, I've got it all back up here. What I wanna do is I wanna make sure that I've got on that center point here. You can see my camera is centered on the subject that I wanna do. At that point, I can just unlock the side, unscrew it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push my slider to the end. And now what I can do is I can turn this, and as you can see, as I move the bar, you can see it get to the point. Let me make sure that's exactly what I want. You can dial this exactly how you need to. I'll do that. I will lock this down. That's my A point. I'll just hit A. And now what I'm doing is I'm just gonna rotate this here now over to my B point. Hit the B. And now the camera is going to go ahead and do the rotation exactly the way I want at the speed that I want and get that parallax. It's all mechanical. It's all dialed in. It's very, very easy to adjust and tweak. Now, in addition to having all these features, this camera actually has a lot of nice mounting options. I think it's worth pointing out. If you'll look here, it's actually got a nice 3/8 on the bottom and a couple of 1/4 inches, and it's got a 1/4 inch on each side for support arms if you're mounting on a tripod. And on the front here, it does actually have a nice another 1/4 inch screw point that you can put any peripherals that you might want. This could be like a monitor, it could be a wireless follow focus, pretty much a light, anything you name. Now, another aspect about this is Zeapon does have an app that lets you use this, and you can control this through an app, and it allows you to do time lapses and other things like that. So the app is a really, really nice feature. I will be honest though, this thing, it just works so intuitively and so simply that I actually prefer just using the buttons on the side because it's so simple, but it's nice having that app. And as a last bonus, this thing does come, because this thing is designed to travel, it does come with a really nice little carrying case right here that lets you fit the Zeapon in there with no problem. And it's got like little straps here. You can either hook this to a bag or put it anything you want. Now, whenever I do a review of any product, I always like to point out what I consider any rooms for improvement, just so you're fully aware of what the product is and isn't, and help you make the best decision if this belongs in your kit. Now, as far as portability, size, stability, which is, in my opinion, the single most important thing you want in a slider, this thing really hits the game really well. The one thing that I really wish it came with that it doesn't, it's not really a room for improvement, it's just like I wish it came in the kit, is that, I pointed out these little 1/4 inch points on the side. It'd be really nice if there was an option, or if it came with support rods when you're putting this on a tripod. Having those support rods is just really, really important for getting that professional smoothness on a tripod. Now, that being said, this thing is so affordable. It's only $399. I get that they kept it out to save money, but if you're going to get this, just be aware you're going to need to get some support arms for this. Once you get that, this will then make all the things you need to actually have a professional commercial slider. So anyway, guys, that is the Zeapon EVO D60, a really, really fantastic budget slider that's simple, minimalist, and does exactly everything you want to do, and it all comes in at under $400. Pretty good deal, in my opinion. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me notes and comments down below, and yeah, go out there, keep on shooting, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.